let us start. It's already Friday, and this is the last session in the whole week session um, for proMX Dynamics Week. I see that people are coming and coming, so my introduction will not take that much time, and then we will switch to our speakers today. So as I said, this is the last session today, and it will be about some new updates which were coming or already came to us via Wave 2 updates from Microsoft. And today we have two our speakers. It's Anna Kubny and Daniel Bach. They all are experts. They will tell about themselves a bit more on their parts. So we have in total 2 topics today to discuss. After each topic, you will have time to ask questions. Of course, set up your questions in the chat, and after each small session, we will ask questions to the speakers, or someone will answer them in the chat, depends how complex these questions will be. And of course, it's always nice to get first-hand feedback from the experts who are working with these solutions and with these tools each day, 24/7, each month, and so on and so forth. So that's really, really cool. The last stuff I wanted to mention is that as this is the last session, but that's not the end. Of course, we will lead more sessions this in December and then the next year. So please subscribe to our newsletter so you will see all the newest updates about our webinars in the future. And of course, if you want to get more information from our side, just contact us via look@proMX.net or write to our speakers or to me, so we can try to help with your questions. And yes, let us start. Anna, please, your turn.
Yes, thank you very much, Jelena. Hello, everyone, and welcome also from my end to today's session of the proMX week. And I'm happy to present you two pretty nice features today. I'm going to share my screen for you now, and you should be able to see it right now. So Jelena already mentioned, like, we are looking into like a few key topics from the release wave 2 that was or started to be rolled out in October. And in my opinion, it's pretty cool features that might be interesting for most of you working with Dynamics. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself very briefly so that you know who's speaking to you. My name is Anna Kubny. I'm a senior consultant and project manager at proMX for, well, 3.5 years now. In general, I have a Dynamics background of like a little bit more than 10 years. And before having started working with Dynamics, I've been in sales and mainly sales steering. Saying that I feel pretty old, to be honest. But never mind, enough about myself. So I will show you what I'm going to present to you today. There is 2 topics in my part of the session. One is the modern advanced find, which to me is like super nice feature, as well as the in-app notifications. Many of you might have been waiting for the in-app notifications for quite some time already, and finally they are available. How I'm going to go through the session is like, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what is the modern advanced find and what are the in-app notifications, and then I'm going to present it to you in the tool. So we're just going to go click back and forth and see what do these 2 features do and how do they help us and what are the improvements. And after that, as Jelena has mentioned up front, we're going to have like, I'd say, well, about 5 minutes or something, depends on how many questions there are, to answer those questions. So let's start with the modern advanced find. The modern advanced find is basically replacing the so-called legacy advanced find, and most of the users working with Dynamics are using the, well, former legacy advanced find and now modern advanced find to basically look up data that is not available in the app from scratch. So especially when it comes to like very detailed information that somebody wants to look at. And many users have been saving their personal views, etc., based on their personal needs. So the advanced find in general, to me, is like a very, very, very good and helpful feature in general. And the legacy advanced find was now replaced as of October. And I think most of you have noticed already, like working with Dynamics, that the filter icon that you had in the navigation bar is not available anymore, which is basically the best sign, okay, you are now working with modern advanced find, because the legacy advanced find using the filter button in the navigation bar is not available anymore. In general, like the modern advanced find allows users to look up data in any table that is available in the model-driven app. Important to understand is that if you have, there is several entities, like many, many, many entities available in Dynamics, you can look for entities or tables in the modern advanced find if they are included in the model-driven app. Does not mean they have to be in the sitemap, but in general, you can activate tables for model-driven app usage and the modern advanced find. In general, and that is like something which is new. If you have worked with advanced find before or the legacy advanced find, you've always been able to share your personal views with other users, and you have always been able to allow them like to only read or write or delete your personal views. That is still available, that feature. What is new is that you can now also hide your personal views, like you don't want to delete them, but you don't want to see them at all times. So you can hide them. And you have now the option to reorder the list of views on basically how you want to see them. That is like a very brief intro on the modern advanced find. I'm going to show you like how to work with it and what it does in the system directly. In-app notifications. I know that my colleague Daniel, who's going to do a presentation later, likes this feature very much. And it's basically starting off with a sample. You often have cases where you want to notify users about outstanding tasks or overdue things that need to be looked at. And in the past, like to preactively inform users about these things, you had to like kind of send them emails or ask them to look into certain views that were set up that are showing overdue stuff. But in many cases, at least for my customers, I know that emailing was the preferred way of informing or notifying users. With the in-app notifications, the system can now notify, or even let's call it alert users, okay, there is something you need to look at, something you need to do. We can already see in the little screen or in the little screenshot that I added here that you have a little icon in the navigation bar, and it shows a number in there. And that is basically the notification for the users. You have mail, so to speak. You have an information that you should look at without having to send emails, obviously. So the bell icon is new, and important to know is that the in-app notifications are not enabled by default. So if you want to work with the in-app notifications, they have to be activated in the app, and obviously it has to be defined what notifications do you want to generate, in what cases, how often, when should they be deleted, etc. Okay, so let me now go into the system. I'm in a trial environment, so there is like, well, fake data in there. So let's start with the modern advanced find, and let me navigate to just one entity, which is opportunity. So starting off, to set up an advanced find is either from the sitemap, like any entity you have in here, but you might want to look at entities that are not available in the sitemap. So the other option would be to go via the Dataverse search. I'm going to show you in a minute like what this does. So in my case, I would go to opportunities, and it takes me to my default view. So working with Modern Advanced Find, I always start from any view, preferably from a view that is like pretty similar to the view that I want to regenerate or create for myself. You can see that the filter icon on the top right is not available anymore. So how do I rework the filter? Currently, I'm looking at all opportunities, and that is not what I want. I want my personal view filtering on specific information. So over here on the top, you have like two buttons. One is edit columns, self-explaining, and edit filters. So first of all, when setting up my personal view, I click on edit filters, and basically how to set it up. It looks a little bit different than in the legacy advanced find, but like from how to set it up, it is basically exactly the same. So I click on add, and now I can add a row, I can add a group like and I can also look for related entities that are related to, in this case, my opportunities. So in my case, I want to look for, I don't know, opportunities where I am the owner. And I want to look for opportunities where the status is open, like won and lost opportunities I'm not interested in. Open, and then I also want to only see opportunities of accounts where I'm the owner. So I would now add a related entity. I can now select the related entity to the opportunity, and all of them show. So I'm going to go for accounts, and then I go for owner. It's just like a very simple view, just so you see like how to set up the filters in general. But obviously, the views, as usual, like they can get very complex depending on the filter you're looking for. And also, I'm obviously only interested in accounts that are active. Okay, so this would be my filter. And I could even go even deeper in, like I could now add a related entity to the account and then like build that filter up. So from a technical perspective, it's pretty much the same as it was in the legacy advanced find. It just, the look and feel is a little bit different. And I personally, I prefer this look and feel, to be honest. The other one was very like old school. So once I have set up my filter to my needs, I would click apply on the bottom, and my the results of my view change immediately. As you can see, I have a little asterisk over here next to the name of the originating view. The asterisk basically shows me either I'm in a default view or I'm in a view that I have modified and that is not saved yet. So what I personally usually do is, like, when I set up a filter, I review my columns, and I can now even edit the columns. And over here, the pane opens up, and I can either, like, let's say I don't want to see the actual revenue, not interested in it. So you can just click on it and say remove. And the probability, I want to move forward. So there is two options of doing that. You can either use like move up, or if I'm here, it's also move down, obviously. I personally prefer to do it with like drag and drop. It's faster. Adding a column, pretty easy. Like by default, it shows you all the fields available in the entity that I'm looking at, which is opportunity now. You can also add columns from other entities that are related to the opportunity. And I would go for, I don't know, I want to add the field sales manager out of the related account. And that is like one of the biggest benefits to me personally, because you might know that in many entities, you have so many fields, and the Legacy Advanced Find, you had to scroll down and search for the fields all the time, not finding them immediately. So in here, I now have a search window, and I can just say Sales Manager, and it shows me all entities that have this field. I want to go for account, and I can simply add this. Let me just add like another field. I don't know, just any. You can, before like clicking the close button, you can add as many fields as you want. Click close, reorder them, and then apply the view. So you will get, this is kind of like a preview of what you've set up. What I personally also like for the ones that are working, for example, with Excel Online, before you always had to set up your personal view, you had to save it, and then you could work with Excel Online, because like you had to have the needed columns in there if you wanted to rework them with Excel Online. Doing this without having saved the personal view, I can just like work with Excel Online or export the view without having saved it, which is pretty nice. What I would then do is like, I even got a question like from a customer, which was pretty interesting. Like, okay, I've set up my personal view, so I don't have a save button. Where is the save button? I want to keep it. I don't want to just look at it now. So you would just click on the view with the asterisk, and on the bottom you have the button Save as New View. I'm not going to do that in this case because I've already prepared some views for us. And in the Legacy Advanced Find, you had like in this list kind of like two sections saying like system views and personal views. We don't have that anymore. The personal views are now marked like with this little mannequin icon, which I find pretty nice. It's more clear, and you can easily see how or which ones are the personal views. What I also like very, very much is there is cases where in some entities that you're mainly working with or something, you have a very long list of views available. So you have to scroll down, etc. You now have the option to search for views. So let's say, I don't know, one opportunities, and it shows me the views with this name. I like that pretty much. So let's just look into one of the personal views. I mentioned up front, you always had the chance to share views with others, so they don't have to rebuild them for themselves if they also wanted to use them. Excuse me. And in this case, if we wanted to share this view, you would just click on the view name again, and then you have a button, Manage and Share Views. So if I'm going to click on there, you get an overview of all of your views. You can select the view that you want to share, and behind the three buttons, you get the Share button. So Daniel, you're going to get a new view. I'm going to share it with you. Daniel Bach. And then I'm going to select him, and I can now decide like, what do I want Daniel to do with this view? In most cases, I say read and share so that he can reshare with others. Write in some cases like that he can modify my personal view, but then it applies also to me. I sometimes use it personally like when I say, okay, I don't really know, did I do a mistake, or can you modify my view? Can you help me, for example? Then you give rights to somebody else, and then they can rework your view, and that applies to your view immediately for everybody who has access. Delete, I'm generally like not a fan of like giving delete rights to stuff that I created if I want to keep it, because even by accident, the person that has the delete rights could delete this view. So I'm going to give Daniel read and share rights. I'm going to say share, and then the view is automatically shared and available for Daniel. Just wait, takes a while in this trial instance. Here we go, your changes have been saved. Very good. Maybe I want to check, okay, who has access to my personal view? You could do exactly the same again. You click on the share button and now you see, okay, this view is shared with Daniel, and you could even like remove the rights afterwards. What else is new? And I mean, the share option has always been available. What is also new is if I hover over my view name, I see this little icon, the hide icon. I mentioned it in the very beginning, like sometimes I set up views that I need, well, occasionally and not at all times. And I don't want to have them in my view list all the time. So you can basically, by one click, either here or behind 3 buttons, there is also a hide option here. You can hide them. And when I do that, and I'm going to go for my lost opportunities, I say apply. And then my view will not show here anymore. If I want to see it again, you do exactly the same thing and you unhide it. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, super nice feature in my opinion. What is also new is that we now have the option to sort the order of the views, or I can decide how they should be ordered. Default order is personal before system views in an alphabetical order. I could also say, yeah, my personal views should be at the bottom. So I would say system before personal, or I don't care if it's personal or system views, I just order them in an alphabetical order. So you can basically like personalize that to your requirements or your needs. I was mentioning the where to start from. I mean, this is the options that we now have with the modern advanced find, and I like them pretty much. I think they're helpful. And what I've done right now is like I started from the sitemap. There might be entities that you want to have a look at or that you want to set up an advanced find for that are not available in your sitemap. So you can go via the database search. If I click in here, at the bottom, you now have well, let's call it button, search for rows in a table using advanced filters. If I click on it, it gives me an overview of all entities that are enabled for my model-driven app. And let's go for, I don't know, let's go for cases, for example. I select this view. I can even search for the entity name. Say continue. It takes me to my default view of this entity, even though I don't have it available in the sitemap. I can set up my filter and do exactly the same as we've done before. Again, the entities that you want to find in the database search have to be included in the model-driven app. So you can basically like modify what is or what can be found and what cannot be found in your app settings. That much about the modern advanced find. A very quick, a very brief overview, but I hope that was helpful and clear. The second new feature, a long-awaited feature for some, is the in-app notifications. I mentioned already, like there's often cases like where you want to alert users about things that they have to do or that are overdue. And that was handled most of the times by sending emails created via a flow. In certain cases, then emails were sent out to the owner of a data record, for example.
I'm sorry, Anna, for interrupting you. I can listen to you the whole days and nights because it's so interesting, and I can literally even implement right now everything in my CRM. But we need to speed up a
I'm
little
going to
bit.
speed up. It's just going to take like another, I don't know, 3 minutes.
Oh, super.
Yes, 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 yes. So instead of sending emails, we now have like the bell icon. I mentioned it before, it has to be enabled. And this bell icon shows me the count of new notifications when I log in. When I reopen Dynamics, like I come to work in the morning and I open Dynamics, it's even gonna show me a toast, so like pop-up windows with the new notifications. And as a user, like you would simply click on here and you will see all notifications that you have. The notifications, they obviously, it has to be decided in what cases they are created. Generally, they can be generated like using Flow. And in the flows, you can say when should the notifications be created, what information should they contain. Like in this case, information, a project has been assigned to you, assigned by whom, for which customer. You can even add a link to that specific data record. And then I have like some overdue tasks. And as a user, I would say, okay, I have to do a follow up. Okay, yes, I've done it. So you can either, as a user, like dismiss single notifications, or you can also say like, I'm going to dismiss all notifications at once. In the flow or creation of or definition of the in-app notifications, you are pretty free. It's very powerful. And I think it might help in very many cases to support users to not forget important information. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Let us give our audience a few minutes to write questions if there are any questions, but it was so clear. I don't know if there will
Thank
be any
you.
questions. I have maybe one small question because it's also important for my work. I'm working with contacts and accounts. And can I implement this advanced filtering feature to save some stuff, like save my filters, which I prefer also not only for the sales part, like leads or opportunities, but also for contacts and accounts?
Yeah, I mean, if you have access to contacts and accounts, which I believe you do, you can set up your personal filters and views based on, let's say, accounts and show information out of their parent account, for example, when it comes to like, I don't know, postal mailings or things like that, and you want the company address or the company name that that person is using for, you can save that, you can set it up, you can save it, and you can even share it with your colleagues that are working with you. So only one person has to do it. And you are not dependent on somebody who is like setting it up as a system view and then deploying it to the productive system. So you're pretty free
Okay.
in what you can do, yes.
That's my case, really, because we're working with lots of lists. And yeah, all the time we need a lot of these views with the
Yes,
different fields. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who are working with a database, they actually need this stuff very much because,
absolutely.
like it takes like 30 minutes for you to create the view and then you work with this view just like, I don't know, 10 minutes, but the
Yeah.
entire time takes the actual settings.
I mean, it's sometimes like what I always say is like it takes some time. Like when you start setting up an advanced bind for the very first time, like you have to like find your way through. If you've done it like 3 times, you get used to it. You know how to do it, and then the biggest benefit is like you would not like probably save a view that you're not going to use anymore. You would just like set it up, work on the columns, even use the filter option that you have like in the views to basically look for data. So in general, I mean, I'm working with the advanced find option like several times every day. Like
Okay.
data is key.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. That's our goal. Data always our goal.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, I see that Daniel overtook one of the question was
Thank you,
set it
Daniel.
up in the chat, and yeah, I think he has to overtake the entire session.
Okay,
Daniel,
then
are
I
you with
stop sharing
us?
my
Yeah,
screen.
thank you, Anna, very much.
You're very
And let
welcome.
us move to Daniel. Promise us, Daniel, that you will share your questions then with Anna, like to make it somehow equal.
We can give it a try.
Okay, so let's start.
Okay, is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm good to go. Hello and welcome to the second part of our today's session. And as we can see on my session slides, my topic is mainly about the new Microsoft Teams integration with the Dynamics 365 environment. As you can imagine, we are currently live in the Teams session, so it is a little bit challenging display and showing the integration with Teams. So I prepared a lot of slides to demo all the different functionalities like call integration, meeting notes, and so on and so forth, so that you can get a better overview of all the upcoming features. First, a small round of introduction. My name is Daniel Bach. I'm the head of research and development at proMX, working there for 12 years right now. And down below the page, you can also see the contact data. So in case of any questions, just drop me a message and we can discuss it in more details. As mentioned, here's the agenda for today. First, I will give a very brief overview of all the features provided with the new Teams integration. And then we will dig deeper into the features and I will show all the different slides for all the use cases like the co-presence feature and the link chat. So this is also a very nice feature provided by Microsoft. So currently it is working to link chat communication directly with a Dynamics record like a contact, account, or a lead. Then last but not least, we have the Teams meetings directly out of Dynamics. So currently with the update is possible, I can create appointments and simply mark them to be a Teams meeting. System provides a link and I can join it. Then I will try a small demonstration of the features as possible. Not every feature of the Teams integration exists in the web browser view. Some only exist in the desktop client, but I will do my best to demo some of the use cases. Then as a final step, I will provide a future roadmap. I just call it future because it's features currently available, but I mention it just future. You will see the details later. Then last but not least, if my colleague Anna did not answer your questions in the chat, we have a small Q&A session. So drop all the questions you have regarding Teams integration. Okay, let's move forward, starting with the overall picture of the Teams integration. On the left-hand side, don't worry, I will zoom it in a second. I will demonstrate today the seamless integration using the Teams pane. This we will recognize when the integration is enabled. We get a new pane on the right side. This, to some users, is known from the integration, the channel integration framework, what was used for support cases and ticketing, like using at agents, providing the overview of team chats directly and team channels. So I can chat with my colleagues and customers directly in the browser. We have the call integration. So I have the click to call provider and I can also start direct meetings. Meetings are also nice. We have the recording functionality, meeting notes, and later I will also demonstrate some integrations to the desktop client. Then we have a nice feature like a contact suggestion. So Teams on creating a new link chat or link channel, it will suggest people linked to the record in Dynamics based on my company. So it's possible that I have a deeper exchange with my sales team talking about opportunities or leads as an example. And then we have the co-presence feature. It is also very nice, but yeah, it's easy to overlook. I will show it in details in the next following slides. So here we have the total overview zoomed in. We have the chats and channels. As we can see, it's on the right-hand side of the screen. So I decide if I want to create a chat or if I want to link a channel. Then we have the overview of normal chats, so I can directly chat with my colleagues or customers. And then we have the top view with the linked chat. Here in this case, I have a connected chat. We can, I will just mark it for you real quick. We see it here. We have a connected chat to some record called Daniel Bach. Unfortunate, this is myself talking to myself with a demo user. I have a participant, so we do the communication together with a test user, and we can provide a name for the chat. Now it's important, some recommendation from my side. I would change this name. It's a recommendation because initially it will pre-fill the name of the record you are in. In this case, it's a lead called Daniel Bach. So I prefer writing lead instead, that for my colleague it is visible that this is a linked conversation recorded in Dynamics. Otherwise, if it would be Daniel Bach, the user would not know is it a real person, and it is easy to oversee that this conversation is tracked to Dynamics. Including notes, we see there's some small card displayed to the user, providing a link, forwarding the user directly to Dynamics. So if this is also very possible to, easy to exchange the details and also open the record. And last but not least, we have the normal chats as other chats at the bottom of the page. Then we have the notes and recordings. As we can see, the display on the right side is a little bit different from time to time. This depends on the functionality you enabled in your Microsoft tenant. So when you have a phone integration with Teams, so you do their business calls with Teams, you see the integration of calling. This would be on the right side. And when you don't have it, you just get the screen from the left side where you only have the chat functionality. But in the middle, we see there would be an area for notes and recordings. So I have direct access to all the meeting notes I was adding during the calls. Then on the right-hand side, as mentioned, it's the Teams call integration. And we see there's a little difference. Normally, you know the Teams client, you have the recording functionality. Here we have it at the bottom, and next to the recording is the selection of the language of the meeting. This has the intent when I select US as a meeting language, the system will provide a transcript based on the live captions you would know from the Teams client, and it will just write the protocol of the complete Teams call, what is really cool. So you do not need to take direct notes. The transcript will auto-generate. So you can click on the middle tab, writing exact notes as you like, also save to the Dynamics record at the end. And in the details, we see, okay, we have the test user, it is a lead record. And I have the possibility, last but not least, I can also create a phone call activity in Dynamics, tracking all the notes and details just to have it in the timeline overview. Then I mentioned shortly, we have a contact suggestion. This on the right-hand side is a small view of a Dynamics opportunity. As we can imagine, we have the area where my sales team is mentioned. So here in this sample, I was adding my colleague Daniel Hering as a sales professional in this opportunity. And right now, as a user, I want to start a linked conversation in the system. And as we see, the system automatically recommends Daniel as a contact for this conversation. Here in the participant, it's a multiple users list. So here I could also mention Anna, skip the suggestion from Daniel, but the system is just highlighting because it's related to the opportunity. And then as we saw in the previous picture, it starts the immediate chat conversation with the colleague. Then we have a very nice functionality, what is known to all of our Office users working with the Office Online products like Excel Online or the Word Online. There you have a better functionality, of course, like the co-authoring. This hopefully will join at Dynamics soon, but first of all, we start with the presence feature. And this we see on the left-hand side, when I'm in the user record and I'm on the form, I see this exact same as in Office Online. I see the dot with the sign or name from my colleague, and I have the functionality. I can hover over it and immediately start a Teams chat. call the colleague or also open the contact card. Contact card is only the display of the organizational information of this user. Then on the right-hand side, we have an extension with the Teams integration. Previously, it was also possible to see the status of the user with the icons. So we had the user photo and we saw these small dots of the status. Right now, after the update, the system also will provide the current online status with name. So it's very easy to identify, is the user away or is he available, or maybe in an online presentation to get the direct information if I can contact the user, yes or no. Okay, small and more details about the co-presence feature and the link chat, because I cannot easily show it, but I will try it later, just for the record that you can review it later. First of all, as mentioned, we start in the form. Here I'm in the contact of my colleague Manuel Hanak, and I see on the top right that there's a colleague with me on the same page. There could be multiple users, then I would see multiple users displayed. It's the exact same as it is in the Office Online products. And in the next step, I hover over the user and would click on the Start Teams chat. Right now, immediately the Teams chat window opens up in the browser, adding the contact card, we see it here, with some basic information of the record and also a link. And when opening the chat, I was adding a kickoff note. We see it like, hi, can we chat about this one? As we see, the name of this chat is Review Contact Data. Just to keep it simple, don't use Manuel Hanak, otherwise you would think you would chat with Manuel Hanak. But this is about Manuel Hanak with my colleague. So we review the contact data of Manuel Hanak. We have the link, the colleague can click the link, open it, but sorry. I see my colleague is at the same record, so I would not expect him to click the link because we work on the same page. Then more details about the link chat and the link channels. As we saw in the link chat, we can give a different name to the chat. Normally it's pre-filled with the record name. I can add up to one or multiple participants. The system also will automatically suggest or recommend participants based on the relations in this record, like the sales users and the opportunity will be recognized in the system. So it's very easy to identify who's working on this record and adding it to the same chat. And last but not least, as we saw, we have adding notes. And then we also have the functionality. It's called connect to a channel. Last but not least, this is the old connect functionality we already know from the ribbon elements, where you have the old previous Teams integration with the possibility to link the record to the Dynamics chat groups. Starting real quick, we just saw it, how the chat linking is working. I will just zoom in real quick. So we see I have the chat name with CRM, Harriet Parrish. I want to include notes, so I write the text and also see the card of this related record, and on clicking start, the chat with my colleague Daniel Bach would start. So at his end, the chat window would pop up. Just as an example, I demonstrate, we see now I'm in the view from Daniel and the chat fenster would pop up. We see the chat description displayed. Sorry, just dropped with the Zoom. We have two participants in the conversation. I see the card of the record and I have the Open in Dynamics button just to directly open it, because it is possible that the colleague is only online with the Teams client. So then he can simply click and open the related record in the system. Next functionality, as mentioned, linking the channels. We just see on the top, we have the different chat and channel overview. So we see connect a channel to a record. At the end, it's nothing different as the old functionality we already know. And when I just zoom in for the details, it's the exact same functionality as the collaborate button. So at most cases, it's easier to just click collaborate and link it to the Teams channel, or you do the same with the right pane. It's up to you totally. Then let's get to the best point, the direct Teams integration out of Dynamics using appointments. Just as mentioned, we can use simple appointments in Dynamics. There is a toggle inside to define that they are simply Teams chats. At the end, the system will auto-generate a Teams invite with a Teams link. And this Teams link will be specified to link to this Dynamics record. So it's not a Teams link of the user, as we know on email footers or attachments when we invite users using a team or a live event. It is a linked link, sorry for this wording, linked link to the Dynamics record. So when the user is joining using this link, the complete conversation is tracked with this Dynamics record. As an overview how this looks like, I create an appointment. I see the quick create flyout panel from the right, and we see this little sign of Teams meeting. I simply toggle yes, and this would create the Teams invite. You just see it here on the screen. Teams meeting is generated as we know, but behind the click here to join the meeting is a named link to the Dynamics record. Then I just mentioned I cannot demo this. Unfortunately, the add-on for the Dynamics, for the client, it's the Dynamics 365 application for Microsoft Teams. It is available when I'm at the desktop client and I'm in communication with a customer. It is very easy to get direct access of the user's record information or contact or lead, whatsoever the meeting is linked with. And I can track changes. I can update the Dynamics record. I can create tasks for the timeline. I can create and add notes for the timeline. So all the nice functionality we always need in all our Teams meetings, taking notes and defining follow-up activities. As an overview, unfortunately, I'm talking with myself. So Daniel is joining a Teams meeting with Daniel, what is linked in Dynamics. We have the Dynamics add-in at the top level. And when we click on the right-hand side, as it is known for the chat window or the notes window or the people window, we get the Dynamics 365 window. And we see here in this case, I have a test user record linked to this conversation. And it's also very nice. I directly see the details. I see the owner. And I can update the record. So just imagine during the communication with this client, I just got that he is a tester. So I just update the job title marked with this little check. So there was no exception, all was valid. Just imagine you have phone validation rule that you need to enter an international format. This would just directly hide out. And as mentioned in the bottom, we have nice follow-up activities. I can create notes for my meeting. We see it here. Just remember, there is a meeting note. It's called Let's Talk About Business. And I could also enter tasks in this sample. Here's a better detail. So you can imagine what will happen in the system. Yes, of course, it was updating the records user. It was adding a note to the system with my description, all directly out of the Teams meeting using my Microsoft Teams desktop client. Next feature. Need to speed up a little, but I try my best. The call integration. In the system, we already saw that we have the Teams integration directly in the browser, so we can do all our business without Teams client. So I can get incoming calls, what is very nice functionality. Just imagine your colleague is busy. the call gets inside a queue, and you can define the availability based on working time calendars for your whole sales team. And another colleague of the sales team could pick up this incoming call. Then we have the details of the incoming call. Just imagine the calling number, as we see on the right-hand screen, belongs to Anthony and a company called Consolidated Messenger. So we have all the details directly by the incoming call. Then we have the functionality as it is in the client. We can record the call. As we saw, we can take the notes. We can add follow-up activities. We can create a phone activity where we can track changes. And when we are recording the call, the system will automatically creating conversation protocol based on the transcript just created. So here we have the samples. We saw this screen earlier. Here I'm in the call for 1 minute and 46 seconds. The call is recorded and it is in US language. It belongs to a lead. I can open the call activity, and the same as we saw in the Dynamics clients. I can add the details, I can add the notes, no problem. Here we see it in the detail how this looks like. The user would click on the open call activity, and we see immediately the system creates on the fly. We see it on the top left, unsaved. Call to test user, this was the meeting invite subject. We see it's an outgoing call, who is calling, who is the recipient, it's a test user, we have the number, and then we can start writing our descriptions. Last but not least, I have some minutes for a demo, and then I will give a future overview. So let me just check. Now we can see I have the problem. Everyone is away, so I need to wake up my Teams session right now. Okay, I'm online. Should take some seconds. I also do the same for my test user. It's also online. Let's check if it's awake. It is awake. I'm online, which is good. My test user is online, also fine. And we see the pane on the right-hand side. In my sample environment, I only have the chat functionality available. So I see, as discussed on the top part, we have all linked chats with Dynamics records. I can open it and continue with the conversation. While it is linked, we also see the details. Here I see I was adding notes, all was fine, recording, everything perfect. Next to this, on the bottom of the screen, we have other chats. These are just normal chats with the colleagues about business, about something else, just default chat functionality. And as I mentioned, I have a linked channel. Here I see I have my Teams integration channel. Oh, this should not happen. So we see in the in my Teams, I also have the integration with the apps, of course. This we see here as well. I can start chats with new colleagues, so I could check who is available in my system. Okay. Message was sent, but I see my colleague is not there. I can invite more people. Exact same as we know from Microsoft Teams, just by providing this functionality. Now with the link chat, I need to open a record. So for this, let me quickly go to a lead. One example I wanted to demonstrate. When we close this with an X, oops, my Teams bar is gone. No worries, we have it still open. It's in the top. Just click and we see the pane back again. This is just important. You need to open it once that you get the toast notifications. So let me just trigger this real quick. Was this the right Daniel? Not sure. That's strange in my own test environment to find myself. If I would find my user, there would be a toast notification that I have a new message. So you simply see it with a notification when there's a new chat coming in. Then opening a record, let's go to my colleague Anna. I'm opening the record with the same user and with my test user just to show the presence feature. This can take this can take some seconds. But after some while, it should recognize that there is another colleague on the record, and then it would display the user. Unfortunate, it's the best case for a demo. It's not showing up. I forgot to mention at the beginning, the integration is something like a preview. So it's a very early stage, but we can see what is upcoming, what's the roadmap. Just imagine there would be the picture, I would start the chat and continue. Then as mentioned, link chat. I get the test user. It is the owner, of course, so it makes sense to suggest him as well. I will add another colleague here. Nothing else. I will just mark it to be a different record, including notes, some notes. We see the details, and this would start the link chat as we see. So we have this message as well. So on the other side, let me just switch. This is the other colleague. He just got the message D3365. Oops. Anna Kubny. Okay, I'm not at the record. Let's open it in Dynamics. Here we go. There was the other message I was just missing, and I see, okay, now let's talk about this one. Simply continue. We have the list of all the users with the status. Nothing special. I just see I need to speed up. Yeah, same. You can imagine if I would have the phone number and the call integration, it would directly forward and I have the recording of the call itself. Just switch back to the presentation. For the last step, the future, aka conversation insights. This is a feature already available, so you could already use it. Why is it future? This you will see in a second. First of all, the conversation insights is only available when you record every meeting and every conversation. The recording can be stored at the central Microsoft storage, or you can use your own Azure Blob storage if available. The recording can be automated, so every meeting will automatically get reported. Don't do this. Or you disable it and the user needs to enable it manually. This we saw in my meeting invite. I had to select the meeting language and then I could click record the meeting. It also works and provides the meeting is recorded message to the end user. The first nice thing at the end, you get a call summary. So the meeting was recorded and the system will just check against predefined tags in your environment and check if they find it in the conversation. You get a list of attendees and some very nice insights on ratio about words you used, pause, and so on. Next would be notes. Just as mentioned, the transcript will completely write a protocol. Next to it, you have the recording where we see in green, this is sentiment, so like positive, gray, it's neutral, and we also see the phases of the call like greetings and closing. Then also artificial intelligence is recognizing if there are future actions you need to take. So when the customer is calling, is talking in the meeting, like let's have a follow-up call next week, the system recognizes, okay, there's an action we need to do. Highlights, just as we saw, we have the tagging. We can also use tracking against some keywords. We have people, competitors, or products. So everything mentioned in the meeting will be tagged in highlights and the user can follow up. So I just see I'm just in time. So let's try for a quick Q&A. I just saw the chat window was clicking. I do not hope the session was interrupted.
No. The session wasn't interrupted. Let's wait for maybe 1 minute for some questions.
Perfect. I just see I was chatting with myself. It was not my test user, it was my proMX user. I'm sorry, I just saw the message right now.
No worries. I didn't see any questions or anyone typing in any questions. But of course, if there will be any questions, you have LinkedIn profiles and also emails of our speakers today. So you can write them directly via LinkedIn or via their email boxes and ask everything they described today. And yeah, also the video and the presentations will be available in a week for all people who registered for this session and left their email boxes. So we will do our best to collect all of the presentations and sessions we did during the entire week, and we'll send them via email, of course. But of course, if there will be any kind of other questions which you may concern, just ask us, write to me, to look@proMX.net, or to our speakers, and yeah, we'll be able to answer them for sure. Good. We are here in already evening of Friday evening, and for some of you might be possible it's only very beginning of your working day if you're from US or other countries, and for Germany, entire Europe, it's already evening. Also for India, it's already maybe mid of the night. So let us stop at some point somewhere here. I want to say thank you to everybody who made this Dynamics week possible during the entire week. I want to say thank you everybody who was joining us during this week and participate in the sessions, asking questions and sharing their knowledges with us. And of course, up to our speakers who kindly took care for all of these presentations, prepared all of these new things, investigated there and invested their time into getting to know how it works and how it might be useful for all of us. So thank you very much all. I wish you a nice evening or a great day up front, and see you then on our coming webinars or the next year on the Dynamics Week. Bye bye.